Welcome everyone to another spectacular episode of Within Zionism. Here with your host Moshe and Azi. This is another episode of the Zionist Project. As you know, we haven't been posting for the podcast, so it is a great episode for the Zionist Project. Today we're going to be talking about Yom Haatzmaut, a fun surprise that, due to lack of time, we kind of forgot about. It's been 1 year. We'll talk more about that. Let's get right into it. So first, we want to talk about the history of Yom Haatzmaut. We've mentioned it in History of Zionism Part 1 and 2, so go check those out on the podcast. So, Azi, let us start.
Yeah, so I think it's, first of all, hello. I think it's appropriate to talk about what Yom Haatzmaut really is. You know, we're celebrating today. Well, we're recording a few days earlier, but today it'll be posted. On Yom Haatzmaut, it'll be posted. So yeah, it's appropriate to talk about what we're celebrating, understanding what happened on this day, why we're celebrating it, what is the celebration, what is Yom Haatzmaut. So Yom Haatzmaut actually translates to Independence Day. That's what it is. It's the day that Israel actually officially declared independence in the state and created a state. That's, the day that Ben Gurion gave his famous speech and declared independence in Israel. A year earlier than 1948, 1947 began the War of Independence when the UN declared their plan to split the land into two, have a two-state solution. That didn't work out very well, started a war. Middle of the war, 1948, the declaration, and then the war ended in 1949.
Yeah, the war was a total of 1 year and 3 weeks. The war officially started a day after the UN split because, it takes about a day to get your armies ready, call the other Arab countries to attack Israel. So it's okay. It took a day.
Because that's how it works.
Yeah. Okay, so that's, again, if you want to know more about the history, we spoke about I think there was 3 or 4 episodes on the history of Zionism. And we
don't have to get too much into it right now. That's the brief, just a little bit of an understanding. And we've done episodes on that.
Yeah, for sure. So as many of you probably know, as an Independence Day, there's a lot of celebrations going on. I don't know what's happening this year due to Corona, but let's
be real. Corona's pretty much done in Israel. I think the percentages recently, the past couple of weeks, I don't know if it's days or weeks, been under 1%. So Corona's gone.
Oh,
thank God. Good. So I'm pretty sure that celebrations this year are going to be open as usual, probably with a few limitations. But
okay, so
overall, I think it should be fun.
What to look out for.
Yeah, I know my family's doing something special, but I think I wanted to talk about the general, what the average Israeli does.
Yes, it's a very special
explanation of it.
It's barbecue, which is always very important. It's a ton of fun barbecues. And then
I don't know. It's not really called a barbecue though.
It's a mangal.
It's a mangal or alesh.
Depending what part of the Israel you're from.
Let's have it on the fire.
Yeah, right. Hey, not everything translates well.
No,
but yeah,
most things don't.
So we have on the fire, something to drink, and then white shirts. White shirts are a thing that happened in Israel whenever there's some occasion. So if it's Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month,
yeah, I think
or Chagim holidays, there's always a white shirt. It's a symbol for just a little more of a special thing.
Occasion.
Yeah.
I think the average Israeli in Israel on Yom Haatzmaut, you'll find them wearing jeans and a white shirt, whether it's a button down or a t-shirt, jeans and a white shirt. You'll see most people in the country wearing that.
Yeah, and it's a pretty big problem whenever there's a mangal or some sort of fire next to you, because your white shirt doesn't end up being white at the end of the day.
No, but it's for the country.
Yeah, well, our Within Zionism shirts are white, so we should wear those.
That's my plan.
Yeah. Yeah, so as we mentioned a bit at the beginning, just a brief thing, it's been 1 year. Our first episode of the podcast was posted on Yom HaZikaron or right before?
No, it was on Yom Haatzmaut, I'm pretty sure. I think we I remember we talked about the connection between Yom
Yeah.
HaZikaron, which is Remembrance Day, where we remember the fallen soldiers, and then Yom Haatzmaut, and how the 2 days connect. And every year I find that really amazing. But
Yeah,
again, we
was,
made an episode about that, so feel free to go listen to that.
yeah, that's our very
the first episode.
and it's been a year now. It's been a crazy
Happy
year.
birthday Within Zionism.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, I think we've
doing
both
many
come a
more.
very far way since then. Like if you think back, we started out as just two. We were 18. I'm trying to remember
Yes.
how old I was a
No,
year
I was
ago.
17. I was 17 at that point.
Yeah, I was 18. You were 17, and I remember like it was, Israel was just being bombed like constantly for a good amount of time, unfortunately. And me and you were just, we'd go to school and just talk about like what's going on. And it was just day after day, we were on Twitter. I think you were more involved on the social media side of it. You
Oh,
were
for
having all
sure.
these
Within a
arguments with
few days of
Palestinians.
joining
And,
Twitter.
yeah, not even just not
Yeah,
Palestinians, just like
in a
in
few days
general,
of
any
joining Twitter,
anti-Semitic.
in general, anti-Semitism. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember we would just always have these conversations,
And I
and I
remember
remember
like
we
I
were
was
always like,
spending
it would
a
get so
good amount of
heated.
hours on it.
It was like we would just yell at each other about it, and at one point we're like, what are we doing? Like, let's do something about it. Like, we're coming to school, we're talking. It's something that we're clearly passionate about. The fact that these conversations get so heated, we clearly care about it. Let's bring it to the public. Let's do something about it. Let's try to make a change. And I think we have. Like a year later,
Yeah,
reflecting back,
I think we have
amazing.
made a change.
Yeah. There's definitely, look,
Yeah,
a lot of people are making change. Thank God, there's a lot of people that, they do amazing things. Not going to get into names now, but I think everyone can think of a good amount of people.
We've had some of them on the podcast.
Yeah, we've had multiple on the podcast. And yeah, thank God there's enough people not enough, it's never enough, but there's a good amount of people making change, and it's really important. And hopefully we can, inspire more to make even more change.
Yeah, that's a big thing that we're trying to do, and I'm sure we've done it. I've had several people come to me, friends of both of ours, that are like, how do I start? Like, where should I even start? And the easiest way to start is just go into any comments or look up Within Zionism on Twitter. You'll find a way to start. Trust me.
Yeah, I think social media is like the main, I think that's where anti-Semitism is at its strongest, because that's where people, and like I know this from like personal experience, where people will say whatever they want, and like they're behind a screen, and like they'll put a fake name and a fake profile picture, and they won't be scared to say whatever they want online. And then you go to their DMs and they're like this like scared person,
Yeah,
so there's that.
I'm a content
Just the
creator.
other day,
more than just Within Zionism. People do that all the time.
Yeah, 100%.
They can say whatever they want because they know no one's actually going to find them. Face to face, they
So
won't say anything.
crazy story. Just recently, I was on Instagram and I saw this anti-Semitic post. This guy posted this video, claiming that all Zionists are racist. Okay, so I commented, whatever. I'm not going to get into detail about what my response was, but I started replying to him and like telling him why he's wrong and trying to engage in conversation so that we can come to like an understanding. Like, Zionists are not racist. Let's be friends here. And then out of the blue, some random guy comments on my reply, and he started telling me why I'm wrong and how Zionists are racist and this, whatever. And then I'm like, yo, let's go talk in DM. All right, let's have an actual conversation here. Let's understand each other, because this, back and forth replying to comments just isn't working. So we started talking in private message, and at first he was like angry. He was like very like attacking and just not willing to understand me, whatever. And I saw that, and like I didn't feel like we were getting anywhere. So I said, let's have a Zoom call. Let's talk face to face. Let's see where this goes. Okay.
Okay.
We were on a Zoom call for 50 minutes. Like, I didn't even realize time flew by. But I realized 50 minutes later, he ended up like, wow, like, I forgot exactly what he said, but basically he was like, yeah, like, okay, Zionists clearly are not racist. Zionists are amazing people. Israel, whatever. He was like very like engaging in what I had to say.
That's really cool.
And then after the conversation, he sent me a message on Instagram, and he's like, I'm Israel Chai. I'm glad we talked. Whatever. Like it was true. Like it was amazing. Like, I didn't go into it originally trying to like change anybody's mind. I'm not trying to manipulate or brainwash or nothing, but like I had a whole conversation with him. We were back and forth. I said things that, he didn't understand. He learned new things. I learned things about his perspective, and it was very interesting. And the understanding was that, okay, first of all, Zionists are not racist. That was the first understanding, because
That's a good place to start.
that's where it started from. And then beyond that, we just talked about like the Jewish people and Israelis, and getting a state, and it was really amazing. Like it was such a good feeling.
Yeah, I think I remember the first time that I was talking to someone in private messages, and we're talking for quite a while, whatever. At some point, they're like, "No, you're right. You've for sure changed. Give me something to think about, or whatever." And I remember that I was just like, "Oh no, that's what we're doing this for." Knowing that someone who doesn't really know much, they've heard only one side of this, they're now getting to the other side, knowing that they're gonna not hate me for no reason is really, it's a great feeling.
Yeah, it's like knowing that you have an impact, and you can say that you actually took part in, it's hard to find the words, because it's not changing minds. I don't want to change the way people think. I mean, in a way, yes, but like when you say it like that, it kind of sounds negative, but
you just want to teach them enough to know that you don't want to change them, you want them to come to their own conclusion. By teaching them what they need to know.
Yeah, okay, that's exactly what it is. That's the thing, when you can get somebody to say, wow, I'm gonna look more into that. Like, okay, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's not black and white, maybe there's another side to this. That's where like
there is
positive, that's where the positivity comes in.
Yeah, it's something that every time I go back to the comments, I usually take breaks in between, because it's way too much. But taking breaks in between, when I go back, it's always just knowing that someone will read my comment, read it differently than what they did if I didn't comment it.
Yeah, 100%. It's amazing. So let's each take a moment to reflect back and talk a little about, on a more personal level, how the podcast, it's been 1 year. 1 year ago today, we released our first episode of Within Zionism. We thought of, creating the podcast. You thought of creating a newspaper a little bit before this day, but
a little bit. It was a good few months of way overthinking.
Yeah. But a year ago on Yom Haatzmaut, we released our first episode of Within Zionism. Let's reflect back. How did it change your personality, your perspective on Zionism? What do you think you grew in?
So I know for sure it gives me, as we said, a feeling of like that I make an impact, and that something that I'm doing is changing something in this world, and that is already something that I love doing with all of my projects. But also on more of a personal side of thing, let's say take the army for perspective. I recently, for those of you who don't know, found out that I have epilepsy, and there might be a chance I won't be able to do army. And if you went up to me like before we started this podcast, I've been saying, okay, that's going to impact my life in some way, but I'll figure it out. Now I'm doing everything I can to still do the army, even though I don't know for sure that I won't. Like there are so many, I'm trying to find all the possible options to do the army in any way I can without even knowing if I'm still going to be able to do it. And that I think is a huge difference from last year to now.
And what about your perspective on Zionism?
I think for the most part, I used to feel like in some ways I used to think that a Zionist is just anyone, like anyone could be a Zionist, but they're all under one word, Zionism. And as we've learned more, as we've spoken more to different people, I've learned that there are different types of Zionism. There are different levels of Zionism, and you don't have to be the person who's in Israel who's advocating for Zionism the person who's a little more religious and the person in the US are different types of Zionism, and everyone believes in their own way. Not just that, there isn't just one definition. This is the official definition, but as we ask in every episode, everyone has their own definition for what Zionism means to them.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm thinking back now, and like I remember when we did the episode of like what is Zionism, and first of all, I think our definition there, like that was a little bit of like textbook definition.
Yeah.
And I think we could have gone into it more, and I think we should do another. We keep talking that we're going to,
Keep
but
talking. We will.
we will do another episode on like a little more what is the definition, because like we've learned over the past year there's many definitions, many different perspectives. But it's funny thinking back, like we Googled the definition of Zionism. Like I remember Googling like, all right, what is Zionism? Like we're we're making this whole podcast and we're all passionate about it, but like at the end of the day, like we're both like, what is Zionism?
Yeah.
And now it's just like somebody
fun.
asks you like, what is Zionism? And like, you have this answer, and like you're more, at least for me, I'm more, I think something that I grew in, something that I think I grew more passionate for the country, for the Jewish people,
For sure.
for Zionism, for anti-Semitism hurts me more. I
Yeah,
believe
I
more.
know at the beginning when I started this, whenever I would upload an Instagram post or any type of video to anywhere, I would always hide that I'm religious or Jewish or just
Pride,
anything
yeah.
having to do, because I didn't want that hatred. Now I'm happily putting it out there, like, please come at me. I will
Right.
not hide.
Not just on social media, like in general, I walk around, I did we did Yum together. You left on the first day. You weren't feeling well, unfortunately. But we did it with Israeli flags. You weren't
Oh,
there
it was
when
so much
after
fun.
you left, but we passed by people, and multiple people along the way were like, "Wow, you're doing it with Israeli flags the whole way." And like, I remember when we got to the Kinneret. So for those of you who are watching, Yom is a hike in Israel that you do from the Mediterranean Sea to the Kinneret. It's usually 3 days. People do it in 2, people do it in 4, but usually we did it in 3. When
It's
we
like
got to the
71
Kinneret,
kilometers or something like that.
yeah, when we got to the Kinneret, we put the Israeli flag in the water. Like I'll try to find like a picture or something of it. Hopefully we'll put it in the video. But like it's like that side of me just grew. Like I grew so much more passionate about it. Like a year ago, like I wouldn't have thought to do that. Like, yeah, I was a Zionist. I love Israel. But like thinking like, you know, like I mentioned in the podcast, when I was 7 years old and my family made Aliyah, when my mom told me that we're moving to Israel, my response was no, I'm gonna be forced to the army and I'm gonna die, and I don't want that to happen. Now I'm like, let's do it all in. I want to do the best service I can in the army. I want to serve. If I die, it's for the country. That's what I believe in. That's what I'm going to go full force in, and that's what I'm going to do my best.
Though, side note, do me a favor, don't die.
I'll do my
There's
best.
so many reasons.
I'm not going to try to die, but you get my point.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's the passion that grew over the past year.
Yeah, for sure. There are many Israeli stories in every Yom Zikaron. Our school, whatever school you're in at that point, will tell you a different story of a soldier who used to be at that school who did some crazy thing that just like clearly shows their passion for the country.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and it means a lot.
It does, which
All
is why
right.
I'm trying so hard to get into it.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you. Okay,
Wrap it up.
so that's a wrap of another amazing episode of the Zionist Project. We have all of our episodes on our website, both of the Zionist Project, the podcast. And if you haven't been following us until now and you're just seeing this through a different outlet, we also have a new segment on YouTube called Sharka Debunks. We've been posting that weekly. If you're not subscribed, then please do. Over half of you are not subscribed. Give a like this video, comment, share it to 3 friends, and have a good week.
Yep. Happy Yom Haatzmaut.
Happy Yom Haatzmaut, everyone.